question. So this is a burning question. This is where I want to start, just because I think that I've seen it so many times. I will give my answer, but I ask you this question first. Can Joe Woods save himself? We've asked this before on this show. We've had that conversation. I've said things like, they got to have this crazy run. Well, they were instrumental in the last 2 wins, and now they've got an opportunity to go against a high-powered offense in Cincinnati that's rolling right now. They got Baltimore. They got New Orleans, which really isn't doing much. Washington and Pittsburgh's not doing much offensively. So potentially they could go on another run like they did last year, where they didn't play many good quarterbacks down the stretch, and Joe Woods looked great. Is there a way? Is he starting to save himself again?
I think it would take the Browns using that slimmest of chances and making the playoffs to keep Joe Woods employed in Cleveland. Even last week against Tampa Bay, the defense was still having issues lining up, and that is as simple as it gets for me. And so if your guys are still having those types of problems at this point, I just don't know how you return, especially when you're in year 3 of this scheme and you're still having those types of issues. So for me, I mean, it all starts in Cincinnati, right? They're as hot as anybody in the NFL. If you can shut down Joe Burrow and the Bengals again somehow, well, then I think that opens the door for the conversation, because it keeps the playoff door open as well. And if you can beat Cincinnati, you can beat anybody on the schedule. So that does lend itself to the Browns going on this run, having this great, and you would assume the defense has to play well to get them there. So
play well, at least decent.
Yeah. And so for me, I think they have to be a playoff team. The defense has to be playing as they were down the stretch last year for Joe Woods to have that chance. That's just me.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that outside of like shutting down Cincinnati and blanking them, I'm going to say no, because to play off of what you just said, that first play of the game, that was an interception from John Johnson, that was a blown coverage. He was wide open. They got lucky that it was a bad throw that then bounced from the guy's hands, and John Johnson happened to be there. John Johnson was trying to make up for the fact that dude was wide the heck open again. So even in one of their best performances of the year, which I understand was against a anemic offense. That offense is terrible. But in that performance that we are touting because of the touchdowns and because they controlled that from really start to finish defensively. I mean, they let up a couple scores, including a garbage time score and it's a couple of field goals, and that's, of course, the safety and some things like that. But one of their best performances started off with yet another blown coverage in week 13 in game 12. And because of that, I said it a couple of weeks ago that they would have to go on just an absolutely ridiculous run and a ridiculous tear in which they played just absolutely out of their mind. But even now, even as they're playing well for 2 games in a row, I sit there and say, even in their best performances, these guys are not where they should be. And I understand that some of that is on the personnel. I think we overvalued some of these players going into it. I understand that there's going to be changes. Mm-hmm. But even with better personnel, based on the sample size, which is 3 seasons, for once we have a big enough sample size on the coaching staff to say, I don't think another year he will figure it out, because it has been the same. It continues to be the same. 2020, you get a pass because there was injuries to Grant Delpit and you were playing Sendejo and there was things like, and then you get the personnel, and it takes them some time to gel, which was understandable in 2021. They play well down the stretch. Then you bring back the players. For the most part, all of your major contributors were back, and you added like Martin Emerson, and you added Alex Wright, some depth pieces. And of course, Emerson now has been one of the stars of the defense, but you bring all of that stuff back, and all of a sudden it was just like it was year 1 in that system all over again. And as a result, for me, at this point, it's a no. I don't see Joe Woods coming back.